Did you guys know that Kokomi's revenue in Japan actually surpassed John Lee's rerun? Yes, that is correct. Kokomi's revenue in Japan surpassed John Lee's rerun. I have absolutely no clue what that means, but it's good enough to get 12.4 thousand likes on Reddit Genshin Impact, so it must be important. So let's see what this post says. It's basically just a comparison between how much revenue Kokomi's banner made compared to John Lee's rerun revenue. So it's like I can't read it. I can't read Japanese that well, but it says 9.79 something something G, while John Lee's banner says 9.62 something something G. Like my understanding for this symbol is that it means 100,000. So apparently Kokomi's banner made 979,000 yen compared to John Lee's 962,000 yen. Um, I'm probably completely wrong on this, so if I am, then fuck me. But I'm pretty sure this represents how much money each banner made so far. So and I'm not sure what these symbols mean. I think this means John Lee's banner is ranked number 14, while the Kokomi's is ranked number 13. And this basically just like make everybody freak out, or at least made them care enough to comment on this subreddit, which I would not recommend going to because most of it is trash. But you know, sometimes there is stuff that's interesting, and I comment about it here. So it might be not all that bad. It might not be all that bad. Anyway, so the top comment is just this guy, Marlena Sakura, saying that I think part of it is that Kokomi's Sayu is very famous in Japan. Mimoren, who I assume is the voice actress for Kokomi, is a voice actress and a popular singer, so that could be part of the reason. So yeah, it's just a lot of this thread is just going over the differences between the Japanese community versus the English and the CN community. And it's just some of it is a bit of a circle jerk, some of it isn't. Because basically everybody's just trying to find a reason why Kokomi might not be feeling as bad as people think she is, at least in terms of revenue in Japan compared to China and the Western gaming community. And I think there are like legit differences between the two communities. But one, I think it's important to point out this is still a comparison between Kokomi and a rerun banner. So even though John Lee is a very strong character, this is still a rerun. People who really wanted John Lee already got John Lee. At least the whales did, because you know they can buy stuff anytime they want. So it's mostly just the free to play players that are able to save their money and get John Lee on the second rerun. I bet there's still a lot of whales who probably didn't have the money at that point of the first rerun, so they probably could spend money as well on the second banner. But basically, the gist of this whole post is kind of weird because it's comparing Kokomi's first banner to a rerun banner. And it's just basically supposing that John Lee is this super mighty money earner when he's actually not that great. I think when in some of the charts I looked at, wasn't Raiden Shogun's revenue for her banner actually like 2 to 3 times as large as John Lee's first banner? So John Lee is a great character, but he wasn't that big of a moneymaker. Yeah, and some of these posts are just going over like why Japan is doing what it is, and is Japan really the best community for Genshin players in terms of what Mihoyo wants them to be? Because if the players just care about waifu bait, then that's really the best. That's the best choice for Mihoyo to cater to, because then they don't have to make super powerful characters and they don't have to balance the game. But I don't think that's true because it's still a game at the end of the day, right? Even if there's like waifu characters, they still need to exist in this in a context where they make sense, right? They have to exist in a world where they are required to exist. They can't just be waifus because they're waifus. At least if I'm not underestimating the power of waifus, then you would think that they need to exist in a game that is an actual game, right? They can't just be some bullshit cobbled together. That's why Genshin is popular in the first place, because it wasn't just waifu bait. It wasn't just a gacha game. It actually had a game inside the gacha game that people could actually play and have fun in and explore and do all this cool crap. But apparently, Japan is saying, nah, we just care about waifus and voice actors. The fact that the voice actress of Umi plays the literal sea character was a nice touch. Like, see, I have no idea what this guy is talking about because I don't know who Umi is and what the hell, huh? So I'm guessing the literal sea character is referencing Kokomi. Somebody really needs to explain this shit to me because I have no idea what's going on in Japan. Like we often talk about the English and the Chinese communities, right? But we don't actually know what the Japanese community thinks. Like, who are the biggest Japanese content creators for Genshin Impact, and how do they play this game? Do they actually complain about the balance all that much? Because we often have, like in Genshin Impact leaks, we often see Chinese posters, right? Chinese users and posters, but we don't really see like Japanese Genshin Impact content creators commenting on the English forums because why would they? It doesn't really make sense. But it just there's just like this big gap in my understanding, and I think the English community's understanding as a whole of who actually plays Genshin Impact. And maybe Mihoyo does see these numbers, which is why their perception of what's important for Genshin Impact might be skewed in a way that we don't understand. If there's an entire community, the second largest money spender for Genshin Impact does actually care more about waifus than, like powerful characters, then why would they create powerful characters? Because yet Raiden Shogun sold more than any other character in all of Genshin Impact. Maybe like even two characters combined on their first banners. And she is a strong character, but she's not the strongest character. If we were solely basing her popularity on her strength, she should not have sold anywhere near the number she did. But obviously, a lot of marketing went into her, a lot of expectations, and she is an Archon. The Archon quest is mainly about her, so that's probably why she sold so well. And what we see with Kokomi is a character who did not have that big of a part in the story quest and is not that strong, but still sold quite well, at least in Japan, for reasons that are beyond Genshin Impact. Probably because she has a very famous Seiyu, who is like the Japanese word for voice actor. It's kind of weird how we actually call them voice actor. You call them Seiyu in the subreddit, but not voice actors. It's like Japan is its own world. Yeah, that's the first comment. And then there's like, as an FGO player, I can confirm this is generally how they decide on rolling stuff. If they love the character, they roll from. Meta be damned. But I don't even think Kokomi is that great of a character in the lore. She had an okay story quest, but that's it. She didn't have a part at all in the Archon quest. We barely spent any time with her, so I can only assume that the character is popular because of her aesthetics, her voice actor, and all of the stuff beyond the actual story and beyond, her power level. Like I have the character. I have her talents at almost 888. I have two decent tenacity of Millilith artifacts on her, and she does okay damage. But she's not the greatest character in the world. Like when people are discussing Kokomi, like when I visit Kokomi mains, the subreddit, there's this fight between the people who are saying, well, she's actually not that bad, and the people who are saying, well, she is really that bad, and I am disappointed. And as a whole, the conversation around Kokomi revolves around this kind of weird push and pull between people who want to acknowledge that she could use some improvements versus the people who are also who are just content. And then there's the third group who are the real problematic ones who are like, well, why the fuck do you play Kokomi? She is not good, right? There is no reason to play Kokomi. You should feel ashamed of playing Kokomi. And those are the real problem people in this game in general. But I think it really shows itself with Kokomi because she is the new worst character in Genshin Impact, which I'm not even so sure of. Like people are saying she is a worse version of Barbara, but I've played Barbara, and Barbara is boring as fuck. I would not play Barbara if somebody paid me. Like I would actually quit Genshin if one of the characters I have to play is Barbara. That's is how fucking boring she is. Her Q is boring. Her E is boring. She fucking freezes all the time. She is not nearly as fun as Kokomi. You can't tell me that Kokomi is legitimately worse from an interest, like from a fun to play point of view. Kokomi is legitimately worse than Barbara. That is not something you can legitimately say. No matter how bad you think Kokomi is, she is not worse than Barbara because Barbara is brain dead fucking boring. I heard a whole lot of JP players say Kokomi has a pretty cute vibe. Yeah, man. I see Barbara on the screen. I feel happier about myself. It's so weird. Like, this is the actual power of waifus right there. I, for one, can confirm that my niece, Japanese, really liked her aesthetics and begged me to pull for her. Dude, that's like 90% of the reason why people pull for Kokomi. And that's fine. This is a game that is relatively easy. If you max Kokomi, she can still be one of the greatest characters in your team, in your entire like account. That's just the nature of the game. She also beat Kazuha, Xiao, Albedo, and Venti rerun apparently. Kazuha 7.71, Xiao 8.08, Albedo 8.52, Venti rerun 7.12. So yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot more going into what makes a character popular than what the community says is happening, because the community can focus on all these like obvious aspects as to what makes a character good, which is mainly her aesthetics, the aesthetics and the power level. And if those two are fulfilled, then the character is supposed to be good, right? Supposed to do successful sales. But there's a lot of um, other stuff in my opinion. There's also the story. There's also marketing. For example, myself, I didn't pull for Brian Shogun not because I thought she was weak. I didn't pull for her because I thought she was kind of boring and I didn't like her aesthetic. And it turned out I didn't like her story either, so I didn't pull for her. But if Mihoyo took my perspective into account and made that their entire perspective, then they would never have sold Raiden Shogun in the first place, and they would have lost out on a bunch of money. Because ultimately, my opinion is just one opinion. JP community really said waifu over meta. And that's perfectly fine. It doesn't make the Japanese community better, it doesn't make it worse, it just makes it different. It makes it its own thing, I guess. And it's a perfectly fine way to play this game. You play this game to have fun. And if playing Kokomi makes you have fun in this game, then you go play Kokomi. I play Kokomi. And nobody should be ashamed of that. Nobody should feel like they should be ashamed of playing the way they play. Unless it's like some real fucked up game. But, you know, let's not get into that. And some people are saying she's not even a bad unit, but she's been trashed to the ground to a point where whatever you say will be heavily downvoted no matter what. Yeah. I think it's at the point Kokomi players are at the point where they just kind of need to like shut down from social media, because if they look at social media, all they're seeing is Kokomi sucks, Kokomi shit, and that actually makes playing Kokomi worse for them than if they just didn't pay attention to any of that. Like if they legitimately just did not pay attention to any conversation about Kokomi, they probably enjoy the game more. Like this probably applies a lot more to like just games in general, though. We tend to think of social media as this thing that like connects us, but connecting people just sometimes makes things more toxic. In fact, I would say it makes things more toxic most of the time, especially on League of Legends. Yeah, I'm enjoying playing Kokomi. It's been like 2 weeks since Kokomi released. I have her at almost 888. I have her levels maxed out. I have most of her things. I still need to level up weapon, but that's about it. And she's been fun to play. I think she's a good hydro applicator. She's an okay healer. She is very pretty, and her animations are god-like. And that's all I think about her. I don't care if she's weak. I don't care if other people don't like her. I enjoy the game because I play it how I want. And I think Japanese players are doing that as well. Maybe it's better for Japanese players to not even care about what the English and the Chinese community think. They're their own world, and that's fine as it is. Maybe more people need to play like that.